Welcome to Doctorate Wise. Today we take a topic on what you don't do to speak English fluently. Previous video we did it on how to speak English fluently. What are the ways to speak English fluently? Today we focus on what you don't do to speak English fluently. What kind of mistakes we have been frequently doing while speaking English fluently. First and foremost is don't use bilingual language. First and foremost, what you don't do is don't use bilingual language. Use monolingual language. Bilingual means two languages. Bi, two. Lingua, language. Mono, single. Lingua, language. So instead of using two languages, you should use only one language. It is English to English only. It is the first and foremost important thing. You get a doubt. So how can I use monolingual language? If you are willing to learn Chinese language, French language, then you go for your mother tongue to Chinese language or French language or Spanish language, any language which you like most. Coming to English, you don't need to translate method or bilingual method, two language method. Why? Because English is in our blood. English is in our life. Except a few parts of Asia like Japan, China, Russia, only few countries were not ruled by Britishers, British nation. We were ruled by British people for years and years, centuries and centuries. Already we got some language influence, English influence with us. So already we have English language. Basic English is there with us. That English is enough for us. We need around 2000 to 3000 phrasal verbs or phrases are enough for us to speak language fluently. We don't need much vocabulary and all these things. If you have good vocabulary, it is useful to write language. You don't need much vocabulary to speak language fluently. You need a little language. So that's why instead of thinking bilingual method, instead of using your mother tongue to English language to mother tongue, stop it immediately. Don't speak bilingual, use the bilingual method. Don't speak in a two language method. Never try to translate your ideas from Telugu to English or Hindi to English or English to Hindi or English to Telugu or any other language, any other Indian languages. Never try to translate Indian languages to English language or English language to Indian languages. Even using a dictionary, you should use only monolingual dictionary, English to English dictionary. You never try to use translate method to speak language. It is very dangerous. It is not possible to you to speak language fluently if you follow bilingual method, means two language method. You should use only one language, that is English language. It is the first thing. You don't use bilingual method. The first and foremost important task, first and foremost important point. You don't use bilingual method. Use only one method, that is monolingual method, single language method. The first and foremost important thing. You should remember it. You don't forget it. What you don't do, you don't use bilingual method. Use only monolingual method. You don't use bilingual method, two language method. You should use only one language method. It is single English, English to English. Whatever you speak only English. It is the first and foremost point. Second, what you don't do to speak English fluently. Don't use bilingual thinking. Never think in your mother tongue and translate it into English language. Never think in English and translate it into your mother tongue. Your thinking makes you a lot of difference to speak language fluently. If you want to express something in English, you must think in that language only. If you want to say something in Chinese, you should think in Chinese language. If you want to say something in Telugu, you must think in Telugu. If you want to say something in Hindi, you should think in Hindi language. Means your thinking makes you to speak language clearly, effectively and fluently. You think only in English. Second important thing is you should think in English. Don't think in your mother tongue and translate it into English language. Don't use bilingual method in thinking. Don't use bilingual method in speaking. Don't use bilingual method in thinking. Second important factor. You should remember. Don't think in your mother tongue and translate it into English language. Second important factor. Third important, what you don't do to speak English fluently. Third important factor is don't speak in sentences. You don't try to speak in sentences. Try to speak in phrases, phrasal verbs, and ideas. Phrase means groups of words. Instead of searching a single word, search for two or three words. While speaking, you should use two or three words at a time instead of single word. When you look at, when you read, when you speak, try to use two or three words at a time. It is phrase. Phrasal verb means verb mean plus adverb or preposition. Two words are coming jointly. So phrasal verb, write down, speak out, switch off. These are the phrasal verbs. Use phrasal verb frequently. Ideas. Add one idea to another idea. Never use sentences in your speech. It is third point, important point. Third point is never use sentences, use only ideas. Third point. Fourth important point is use proper body language while speaking to other person. Why? Because you are giving a live demonstration to other person. You are interacting with other person through your body language. So proper body language should be maintained very effectively. Why? Because your eye contact, your facial expression, your body language, hand movements, everything is important. Whether you are showing interest in other person's opinion or not. This is fourth important factor, body language. You should maintain proper body language in your speech. Fifth important point is try to focus on listening instead of much and much speaking. It is lagging in present day people. People don't want to listen to others. They are always trying to express something, omit some language to others. Instead of hours of speaking, instead of blah blah speaking, try to focus on listening. Listen much and much. Speak less and less. The best speech is listen more and speak less. If you want to speak language fluently, first try to listen and understand others' opinions, others' ideas, then you speak language. It is very important factor. This is fifth one. Next, sixth factor is about proper articulation. Articulation means a tone. Whether you are using a proper tone or not, that is very important factor. Don't use low tone, don't use very high tone. Use medium tone in your speech. Try to speak very clearly, very fluently, without any break. It is very important. Tone and articulation or tone of voice. Clarity is very important. This is sixth one. Next, seventh very important factor is, seventh one is what you don't do. Don't whenever you look objects, don't think in your mother tongue. Try to think in English language. Suppose you look at an object, think in English only. Try to think in English language and try to express it in English language. This is sixth important factor, what you don't do. So never try to do these things. Try to avoid these things as early as possible. Next, eighth important factor is instead of using 26 letters, try to use 44 speech alphabet. So no other language is having this kind of complexity except English language. It is easy to get primary knowledge of English language, but difficult to get command over the language. Why? Because complexity is there with English language. There are 26 letters for writing, 44 letters for speech. You should focus on 44 alphabet, speech alphabet. And focus on accent and intonation. Try to learn it, not necessary to use as it is. Try to learn it. What is accent? What is intonation? Next, what is the rhythm? You should learn, you should focus on spoken alphabet instead of written alphabet. So this is next point. Next, one more factor is while speaking, add one idea to another idea than adding one sentence to another sentence. You should not use one sentence to another sentence. Never try to add one sentence to another sentence. Next point, very important point is, you don't think about I have spoken correctly or not, I have spoken rightly or not. You don't bother about it. Just keep on speaking it. Keep on speaking it. If you keep on speaking it, automatically you overcome your tensions, worries. You will be fluent in English language. And one more important factor is, you don't imitate anybody else on this planet. Very important factor. You never try to imitate anybody in the world, because you are unique. You do your own. Whatever you have, you try to speak out. You try to use your own tongue. You never try to imitate others. Recently, some people have been using or imitating Americans or English people. Just it is like a mockery. It is like a failure system. No Indian, no other person speaks like English people, because they exposed to their culture. It is not necessary to speak like English people. Use your own tongue, but use it very clearly, effectively, and fluently. You try to use your own voice. You try to think your own. You try to express your own, instead of concentrating on others, instead of imitating others. If somebody speaks something, it is not necessary to imitate that person. Use your own slang, no problem. Because Tamil people, even a great Abdul Kalam used his own accent, Tamil accent. He was honored by the globe. Many people, the great personalities, intellectuals, Nobel Prize winners, professors, scientists, everybody were appreciated, because not because of their tone, because of their slang, because of their talent. Try to use your own tongue. Try to use your own talent. Why? At the time of formation of America, British people laughed at Americans. America is a country where there is no language for them. They got language, English language from got English language from Britain, and they developed their own language. Now American language is everywhere. Unfortunately, America has American language, American English, Canada has Canadian English, Australia has Australian English, Britain has Britain English, and Africans have African English, but Indians don't know. So much of confusion. We don't have English language. Not necessary, dear friends. Try to speak your own. Whatever people think, whatever people comment to you, you don't bother about it. Try to use your own tongue. Try to use your own thought. Try to think in English. Try to speak in English instead of conversation method. Instead of focusing on sentences. Instead of focusing on others. Instead of imitation method. Try to speak your own language. It is very, very important thing. These should be understood very clearly. Recently, Japanese and Chinese, just 20 years, they took 20 years to develop their English language in a fantastic manner. How did they do it? Because they used their own tongue. They used their own language. They developed their own language skills. So it is, language learning is self-learning. You don't depend upon academics. You don't depend upon other person to improve your speaking skill. If you want to be fluent in English, if you want to speak English fluently, better to focus on yourself instead of others. You never try to imitate others. Imitation is the worst method. Next, self practice is the best method. Every time, just you speak to mirror, stand before mirror and pick up a topic and speak to the mirror. So again and again, keep on doing it. Automatically you overcome your problems, hurdles and breaks in between your speech, and you will be fluent in English. And very important thing is, don't read with your eyes, read with your tongue. Use your tongue. Keep on training to your tongue. If you keep on training to your tongue, you will be familiar with speaking skill. If you want to speak English, just keep on training to your tongue instead of your eyes. If you read with your eyes, it goes to your mind. If you read with your tongue, just you will be fluent in speaking. All your speech skills depend upon your training to your tongue. Try to train your tongue. These important factors should be remembered, and try to learn fluency track. So don't bother about others, whether people are speaking fluently or not, whether there is a meaning or not. You don't compare with anybody at this planet. Why? Because you are unique. You do your own work just for your own self and keep on doing it. So again, I sum up the message one more time. What you don't do to speak English fluently? What do you do to speak English fluently? First and foremost is don't use bilingual method. Don't use bilingual method. Use monolingual method. Don't use bilingual method. Use monolingual method. Only single method. Why? Because already English is there in your life, in your blood. Why? Because English people ruled us. We have some English. Better to focus on your own English. The first and foremost thing is. Second is don't speak in sentences. Don't speak in sentences. Speak in ideas. Speak in ideas. Don't speak in sentences. Speak in ideas. Speak in phrases. Speak in phrasal verbs. These three. Ideas, phrases, phrasal verbs. These three are very important while speaking language. Don't speak in sentences. Speak in phrases, phrasal verbs, ideas. Second point. Next important is what you don't do. Think in English language. Never translate your ideas from mother tongue to English language to mother tongue. You don't do such kind of things. First you think in that language. You listen and you think in that language and you utter. Next, look at the objects in English. Look at any object in English. Don't look at objects in your mother tongue. Any object, whenever you look at an object, try to look at any object, any situation, any picture, anything, try to look at in English language. This is one more thing. Next, so while speaking, you should focus on body language because speech is a live interaction. So you keep on interacting with other person. Try to look at other person with your eyes, eye contact, facial expression and body language, hand movements. These are very important things. Better to focus on these areas. Body language skills. Body language skills are very important. Why? Because speech is a live interaction. It is not a recorded document. It is not a written document. There is a difference between speech and writing. Writing is permanent document. Speech is spontaneous overflow of ideas. Spontaneous overflow of ideas. Just when you speak, automatically your body language also speaks to other person. Focus on your body language while speaking language fluently. Next, connect one idea to another idea instead of connect one sentence to another sentence. It is also very important. Don't connect one sentence to another sentence. Try to connect one idea to another idea. Try to connect one idea to another idea instead of one sentence to another sentence. Next important thing is never translate your thoughts or ideas from your mother tongue to English language to your mother tongue. This is very important factor. Next, try to use your expression or articulation. Articulation means tone, voice clarity and expression. Not low voice, not high voice, a medium level voice that should be used. So how to speak language clearly, effectively and not very slow, not very fast. Try to speak in a proper manner. You should speak clearly as well as with meaningful expression. Meaning is also important. Syntax and semantics. These two are very important. So use your body language properly. These are the things to improve your fluency. And the best thing is try to speak to the mirror. Pick up any topic and try to speak to the mirror. Keep on speaking it. Next important factor is don't use imitation method. Don't imitate anybody. You don't need to speak like Americans or Africans or English people. Just you speak your own language. Just whether you are clearly expressing your language to other person or not, whether your expression is reached to that person or not, whether your idea is reached to that person or not, that is important than to speak like English people. If you try to speak like English people or any other person, definitely you may fail. It is not possible to speak like other person because you are a unique being on this planet. Just use your own language. Abdul Kalam became very popular because of his own slang, Tamil slang, not because he never imitated Americans. The entire world clapped with his accent, Tamil accent, because people look at the meaning of the speaker as well as how the person is speaking or giving the information to other person. That is important to other person. That's why you don't bother about pronunciation or these phonetics. All these things are not necessary for you. Just your aim is to keep on speaking language fluently. So these are some of the techniques and tips to speak English fluently. What you don't do: don't use bilingual language, use monolingual language. Don't use sentences in your speech, use only ideas, phrasal verbs, phrases in your speech. Don't connect one sentence to another sentence, connect one idea to another idea. Don't think in your mother tongue and translate it into English language. Think in English language and express to English language only. Monolingual thinking, monolingual expression. Look at objects in English instead of look at objects in your mother tongue and try to translate in English language. Once you spoke something, you don't bother about it whether you have spoken correctly or not, because people are not willing to or interested to identify your mistakes. People are willing to identify the meaning which you have spoken about that particular concept, particular content. So these are some of the techniques or tips to speak English fluently. What you don't do: better to stop bilingual language as early as much. Why? Because most of our time we speak bilingual language because our minds are native minds. So when we speak language, English, like English language, simply we turn or we translate our ideas from our mother tongue to English language or English language to our mother tongue. Immediately verify whether I have spoken correctly or not, whether I have spoken right or not. Many of my students, when I was giving training to the students in soft skills, they asked me, sir, did I speak right? Or did I speak correctly? Or did I commit any mistakes? You don't bother about it. If you commit mistakes, okay, no problem. So we are not here to look at your mistakes. We are here to look at your positives. So there is a possibility to commit mistakes while speaking language. Even in our mother tongue, while speaking language on a particular topic, we commit one or two errors, but we consider them as errors. Error means just possibility is there in your speech. But mistake means just it gives some value. While speaking, just only meaning is important. Only meaning is important. Clarity of expression is important. Clarity of thought is important. Expression is important. Your body language is important. Whether your speech reaches to other person or not, that is important. Than about your translation method. Than about your mistakes. Never count your mistakes. Better to focus, keep on focusing on fluency. Keep on focusing on doing work. Whenever you look at a newspaper, pick up phrasal verbs instead of sentences, instead of words. When you read, when you look at a word, instead of looking at a single word, look at 2 words or 3 words at a time. Suppose you read English newspaper, just look at, instead of single word, look at 2 words and 3 words at a time. Round up those words and try to use those words in your speech, phrases and phrasal verbs, ideas. Next, suppose you are watching a movie, English movie. So look at ideas or phrases because they follow certain rules and regulations. So they use beautiful phrases. Focus on phrases, phrasal verbs, and ideas instead of sentences. Stop thinking in writing method. Why? Because from schooling onwards, from LKG onwards, from childhood onwards, we have been exposed to written method of English language, but not in our mother tongue. We learned to speak mother tongue before writing our mother tongue. But unfortunately, coming to English language, we started writing at early age. Still, we have been writing English language. Our method of thinking, our method of writing, our method of speaking English is about the way we write the language. But it is very dangerous method. It is the wrong method to write, to speak English language. The way you write language is different from the way you speak the language. Before writing your mother tongue like Telugu or Hindi, just you started speaking your mother tongue. How did you learn it? By imitating mothers and others and collecting so many ideas, adding one idea to another idea, keep on doing it before writing it. But unfortunately, we exposed much and much grammar articles, prepositions, tenses, this, that. That's why while speaking language, we get confused whether I have spoken right or not, whether I have spoken correct or not, whether it is right or not. You don't bother about all these things. Better to focus on these ideas. Collect as many ideas as possible. Try to speak language whatever you want to speak. Take some flexibility. Whether people laugh at you, you don't bother about it, because language learning is self-learning. Nobody teaches you language except you yourself. Nobody teaches you language except you yourself. If you keep on practicing, you will be proficient in it. It is like a skill. It is not about knowledge. So better to focus on these areas, better to avoid certain things, especially 3 or 4 major issues. Why people are not fluent in English language? Because the first and foremost drawback of the people is students is, the first drawback is bilingual method is very dangerous. So they use bilingual method, translation method. Second is they think in mother tongue and translate it into English language. So thinking is different. And third is they never listen to others. And the fourth is they keep on speaking without any meaning, like a blah 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 blah. It is like a dabba, keep on making noise. But what is it? It is of no use. Meaning is very important in your speech. Focus on meaning. If you want to focus on meaning, just listen to it. Focus on content. Concentrate on content. Try to express it in your own way, in your own method. Use your own tongue. Use your own fluency. And try to improvise it. If you commit mistakes, try to adjust those mistakes. Try to give good presentation on it. These are the basic tools, basic things to avoid to become fluent in English speech. It is possible. There is a possibility to speak English fluently. Still now, if you have been concentrating on grammar, if you concentrate on grammar, you never become a fluent speaker. The first and foremost thing. If your concentration is grammar, you never become a fluent speaker. Unless you open your mouth, you try to utter few words, you never become a speaker. Without using your tongue, without opening your mouth, without using your tongue, how can you become a speaker? Like, how can you become a swimmer unless you put your feet into the water? The same method. It is a skill. It is not about knowledge. Somebody will come and teach you language. So people expect language means language teacher comes and teaches. It is not language teacher's duty. It is your duty. Train to your tongue. Try to practice it. If you practice, you get fluency. If you practice, you get command over the language. It is not teacher's duty, it is your own duty, responsibility. Why? Because it is a skill, it is not knowledge. So these are the basic tools, basic things to speak English fluently. Better to focus on ideas, collect ideas. Listen English much and much, then speak. If you want to speak English fluently, if you want to speak English rapidly and clearly, effectively, with meaningful English, better to listen English much and much. Audiobooks are available nowadays. Better to listen audiobooks and watch English movies. It is not enough. Listening is not enough. Try to pick up something from it and try to organize your own and speak it to the mirror and record your voice and again listen to it one more time and one more time. If you practice several times, automatically you overcome your problems and you become proficient or fluent in English language. It is very important. So these skills are very important to you. Better to focus on these areas. Better to stop bilingual method. Focus on monolingual method and focus on ideas. Focus on information and try to organize information in a proper manner and try to use it frequently and stop imitating others. Start speaking your own. All the best to you. There is a possibility. Try to do it. Definitely you get it. You got that skill automatically. Again I meet you one more time with next part, soft skills. I do some videos on soft skills. Try to subscribe the channel. Try to give your feedback, valuable feedback, and give your likes and whatever it may be, because these are professional videos. I'm not doing these videos for time pass. Just only information, useful information is provided to you because of years of research, teaching experience, and academic knowledge as well as reference of English language. Just I do these kind of things. Just try to understand. If your valuable feedback is always preferable and valuable to me, better to support me, better to subscribe to the channel. Just try to focus on these areas, whether it is correct or not. Truth is true, whether people like it or not. I don't bother about it. I'm not bluffing it, I'm not exaggerating it. Unfortunately, most of the language is exaggerated. What is the use of hyperbolic exaggerated language? Hyperbolic language. Some people say exaggerated, all these things, dot things. These are useless, really useless. Try to focus on content. Try to focus on fluency. Develop your language by practicing day by day process. And instead of a written language method, focus on spoken language method. Thank you very much. Meet you again in soft skills session. Thank you. All the best to you. Bye.